What we're going to learn how to do is take a graph and write an equation from that graph. So let's start off by reading our problem here. It says a video club charges a one-time membership fee plus a rental fee for each DVD borrowed. Okay, kids, so a DVD is like if we put Netflix on this round circle, but it only plays one movie, and you have to have a special device to hold the round circle. So, yeah, it's like a worse Netflix. Use the graph to write an equation in slope-intercept form to represent the amount spent, Y, on X DVD rentals. So, like with most problems where we've got variables that we're measuring, the first thing that we want to do is identify the variables. And the problem actually does it for us. It says the amount spent is going to be Y. So Y is amount spent. And X, it says, is DVD rentals. And in fact, the graph is already labeled for us with the rentals on the x-axis and the amount spent on the y-axis. Great. Okay, so then the other thing that we're told is that we want to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And in order to write an equation in slope-intercept form, we need, as the name suggests, the slope and the y-intercept. B in this case is the y-intercept, and m is the slope. So those are the two things we need, slope and y-intercept. And luckily, both of these things are pretty easy to tell from this graph. Y-intercept, by definition, is the spot on the graph where the line crosses the y-axis or intercepts the y-axis. And this graph shows us the y-axis. Right here is the y-axis. And here's the spot right there where the line intercepts the y-axis. It's right there at 8. So, I don't know why I decided to do that in red whenever I did the y-intercept in yellow earlier. So let's make sure our colors are consistent just so we don't get confused. There we go. There's the y-intercept, and it's at 8. So the y-intercept is at 0, 8, and that means the b value is going to be 8. Great. So the only other thing we need to find here is the slope, and luckily finding slope from a graph is also pretty simple. All we do is find 2 points and count rise over run, and we have just all kinds of points on this graph. I want to pick 2 points though that are on an intersection of the grid. In other words, I don't want to use uh, let's say this point. I do not want to use that point right there because that point is like a little bit below 16. It's hard for me to tell exactly where that point is. It's much easier for me to use this point right there because that point I can see is on 818. It's exactly on 818. The other point that I have the arrow pointing to, the x coordinate is clearly 6, but the y coordinate, what is it? It looks like maybe it's 15 or maybe not 15, like 15.8. Is it a decimal? Would it make sense for it to be a decimal? Not as easy for us to see. So I don't want to use that one just because it's more difficult for me to tell what the point is. I'm going to use a point where it's really obvious what the coordinate pair is. So I need another one that's really obvious, and I already kind of found one, which was the y-intercept right there at 0, 8. So I'm going to use these 2 points. And as I said, counting rise over run is a really easy way to figure out how far apart these points are up and over. But we also have the slope formula that we've been using where we can subtract the y coordinates and subtract the x coordinates and make a fraction that way, which is just a mathematical way to write out the rise over run calculation. It does not matter what you're doing. If I'm going up from 8 to 18, that is a rise of 10. And if I'm doing a run from 0 to 8, that's a run of 8. So the rise over run is 10 over 8, which reduces to 5/4. 5/4 would be a wonderful number for me to use for graphing, rise of 5 and a run of 4. But I'm actually going to go ahead and divide this out into a decimal. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because this problem is talking about the cost of something. So I want a decimal so that it looks like dollars and cents. 5/4 would be totally fine for our equation. And in fact, I'm going to write it both ways. When I get to the end, I'm going to write both equations with a fraction and with a decimal. But I think it makes more sense to go ahead and divide 5 divided by 4 and get 1.25 so that it looks like $1.25, just because everything in this problem is about money. How much does it cost to do these rentals? Okay, so all that being done, we now know that the slope is 1.25, which is $1.25. Okay, so slope was y equals mx plus b. So we can now do y equals 1.25 x, and then our y-intercept was 8, so plus 8. So what this means is there is an $8 membership fee, and then it's $1.25 per rental. This, I think, is the best way to write the equation, as I said, because it looks like money. But if you wanted to, it'd be completely acceptable to write the equation with a fraction y equals 5/4 x plus 8. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's still the correct slope.